Hello again, friends. We all know what Santa looks like, but do we? Do we really know who this mythical figure of generosity really is? Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, Kris Kringle, Sinterklaas, Father Christmas, Father Winter, Father Frost, Odin. He's been around for centuries, so much longer than we realize. If you think about it, a winter festival is about many things. Back before we understood how science worked, the idea of the sun going away was terrifying. The days got shorter and shorter, the nights were long, dark, and cold. So people would create things to help understand, or traditions to bring the sun back. So many symbols from that time still hold over to today. A tree that never stops being green, bold lighting to get through the darkness, candles and fires. These things have adapted over time, just like Santa has. But you can still see them. Now, before anyone gets mad at me, we are not talking about the Christian festival honoring the birth of Jesus. We are instead talking about all the winter festivals and all the changes that brought us to the jolly man in red we all know today. In Germany, arguably the origins of so many of our favorite fairy tales, there was the tradition of the wild hunt. This hunt was often led by Odin. The hunt itself is fascinating and worth looking into, but here we're just going to point out that Odin is an old man with a long white beard. Sound familiar? After Odin and his wild festivities came St. Nicholas. He was a real man, I think. But the stories about him are unusual. The most well-known being that in the 4th century, a bishop who lived in what is now known as Turkey gave dowries to 3 poor daughters so they could get married. He was so well known for his generosity that becoming the spirit of that virtue was most likely inevitable. Now, to become a saint in the Catholic Church, one has to perform 3 miracles. But the one that always jumps out at me is the one where there was a terrible famine. A butcher, short of meat to sell, lured 3 children to his house. He then killed them and put them into a pickle barrel to cure. He was going to sell them as ham to his unsuspecting customers, kind of like in Sweeney Todd. But St. Nicholas was wise to this man's evil deeds. He raised them from the dead and saved them. To this day, in Germany, a pickle ornament is hidden on the tree, and whomever finds it gets an extra present from good old St. Nick. But don't worry if you're not Catholic. Charles Dickens has your back. He based the Ghost of Christmas Present on Father Winter. Father Winter is also known as Frost, or Old Man Frost. He was an old man, tall and thin, with a long white beard. Traditionally, he dresses in white, silver, and blue, although he could also be pictured in red or all white. His coat went all the way down to his feet, because it's cold where he lived. Father Frost was a fairly benevolent spirit of winter who lived in his castle of ice and helped to regulate the seasons. He was a very generous person as well, so he fit perfectly as the Ghost of Christmas Present, although the artist in Dickens' time changed his coat to green or red. He was given Santa Lucia's crown of candles and became an old man as the present passed into the future. Thanks to Dickens, Christmas was off and running. It might be hard to believe now, but the Puritans who came to the original 13 colonies didn't like Christmas. They frowned upon the whole thing. But it's hard to keep the jolly man down. He made it here, and then he found himself with a new look. Thanks to artists, writers, and advertisers, he started to change. St. Nicholas slowly became shorter and gained weight, and his name changed. Kris Kringle was his name in Pennsylvania. Over time, that became Kris Kringle. In New York, he was still stubbornly known as St. Nicholas, but a new name slipped in: Santa Claus. Henry Livingston Jr. and Clement Clark Moore made him a jolly old elf and a little round belly. Santa gained a sleigh and reindeer. His reindeer gained names. Dasher and Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Dunder, and Blixen. Now you may think I mispronounced that. I can't blame you for that because it happens to me a lot, but the names of these two reindeer were in fact Dunder and Blixen, Dutch for thunder and lightning. Over time, those names changed too. But the most forever change on our dear Santa came in the 1930s. That's when Coca-Cola got their hands on him. No longer did he wear blue, green, or white. Now he only wore Coke colors, red with white trim. Their advertising was so widespread that in the United States it is now the only look anyone thinks of. So much so that there was a big joke about it in the movie The Christmas Chronicles, starring Kurt Russell. He complains the whole movie about how he's not fat.
Why must they keep drawing me like that? I mean, does my butt really look that big to you?
Opposing that is the Santa Claus, where Scott Calvin, played by Tim Allen, gains a great deal of weight once he puts on the suit of red.
What? Something's wrong with the scale. Ah!
But advertisers were not done changing things. In 1939, Montgomery Ward wanted a piece of Christmas they could claim for their own. So they had Robert L. May create Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And now we have the Santa we know today. Although, for a little fun fact, only female reindeer keep their antlers in the winter. Rudolph and all the rest are girls. So now I will read to you one of the best-known Christmas stories about St. Nick. Well, at least the first line of A Visit from St. Nicholas by Clement Clarke Moore is so well known that I bet you can say it with me. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. I take issue with this. First of all, mice are nocturnal, so of course they are going about their business when it's dark out. But more importantly, everyone knows that Christmas Eve is the annual competition between the Nutcrackers and the mice. Now, I know a lot of people take it for granted that the Nutcrackers will come out on top, but this year, with their main guy out with a jaw injury, I think the mice have a real shot. Do not believe the hype that the mouse coach has 7 heads. That's nonsense. And Squeaky's averages are looking really good coming into this year. Go mice! Oh, sorry. Back to the story. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. All right, I have always wondered, aside from a ballerina, what is a sugar plum? A sugar plum originated as a piece of dagri, or hard candy, made of hardened sugar in a small round or oval shape. Plum, in the name of this confection, does not always mean plum in the sense of the fruit of the same name, but commonly refers to small size and spherical or oval shape. Well, thank you, Wikipedia. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. Just so you know, because I didn't, a window sash is not like a curtain. It's a traditionally paned window that moves. So basically, he opened the window. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to the objects below, when what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. So was it a small lawn decoration, or when they show pictures of Santa and his reindeer in books, did we miss the small print that says shown actual size? With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came. Wait, Did you know a courser is a swift horse? I looked it up. So, were they horses or reindeer? And he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. For a guy who's trying to be sneaky, he makes a lot of noise. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetops the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. I should hope so. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. Oh, I don't think my homeowner's insurance covers reindeer damage to my roof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. Or, a thief committing a home invasion. One of the two. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. A stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled up all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. I am betting that line was in direct response to, "Hey, honey, what rhymes with work?" And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Oh, a classic and a wonderful tale, poorly read by a little blue water spirit. Oh well, I wouldn't be me if I didn't react to it in some manner. There are much better voice actors out there that read this so much better than I do, and yet it still feels magical to me. And speaking of magic, I would like to say to you, my dear friends, how magical it is to have you here with me. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. My Christmas present is having friends like you. I love you all so deeply. Your comments bring me such joy. I just want you to know that, and to know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. We move on to the Grinch of our story, the YouTube algorithm. In order to get this mean one to change its ways, I ask you to like, share, and subscribe. Every comment, no matter how small, shows that we are an active and engaged community. So please help our tiny channel grow. There are now 126 of us. I'm hoping by next Christmas we will reach 200. Thank you, Pixabay.com, and your amazing providers. You are just the most wonderful website. If you would like to support me on Patreon, Instagram, or Facebook, there are links in the description below. Happy holidays, my friends. And now a special thank you to my Patreon friends.